and thank you for joining our 27th Zoom webinar this morning. Thanks very much for those who dropped their countries in the chat. It was nice to see all the countries that are represented here today. Goodmorning BSN provides you with practical tools and insights to improve your skills in one of the 4 pillars of leadership, being responsible leadership, change leadership, decision leadership, and performance leadership, which we at BSN believe are crucial to make a difference, something which you will be able to apply directly in your working life after this seminar. We will end this session at 10:08 a.m. sharp to allow you to have a break and to get your working day started. Today's topic is the 9 building blocks of Amplition. It's about performance leadership, as Amplition is about strengthening the well-being and functioning of employees. Goodmorning BSN is organized by BSN's Impact Center for Great Leadership. The center is an initiative of BSN generously founded by the Culture Factor Group and sponsored by the new energy company Chint Global. The Impact Center for Great Leadership is a place where BSN alumni and other managers and leaders from companies and society meet each other to share insights and to create new practical knowledge. You can also contact the Center for in-company programs or to further grow the talent in your team and within your organizations. Today, we're glad to have Ellen van Dieren with us, who is a speaker, coach, and advisor. After years of working in recruitment and employer branding for her company, The Recruitment Trainer, she added good employment and vitality in 2021. By becoming co-owner to the Talent College in 2022, she has found exactly what she believes in and likes contributing to: good employment practices, positive thinking, talent management, energy management in the home and workplace. Making working Netherlands more positive and energetic is her mission as a trainer and an entrepreneur. Today's reflector will be Arthur van Geermert. He has worked in production logistics for companies like Ingram Micro, Tulip Computers, and industries in aluminium, office furniture, mobility, and more. Always in production logistics and ICT. He was a tutor at Apex in master planning and resources for many years, and then came to BSN. Arthur is also a designer of application and creates order in everyday chaos. He's been with BSN for 20 years, and Arthur has guided thousands of students through their pursuit of the MBA as a student counselor. Good morning to you all. Ellen, I'm going to hand over to you, that you can take the floor.
Perfect.
Over to you.
Yes, thank you. Let's start. I'm gonna share. Oh, sorry. It's good. You need my sound. It's good, I think.
Yes, it's perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I'm gonna share my screen so I can. So I think it's good in presentation mode now, so you can see my name Ellen, speaker trainer at Talent College, and I want to introduce you in a new way of thinking, a new way of working, and that's Amplition. Our organization is inspiring, advising, and training all professionals within different organizations. Let's meet each other in the VUCA world. We live in a world that is constantly changing. It's becoming more unstable. It's small and big changes that are in our world become more unpredictable. So maybe we think that experience from the past will create a steady shape for the future, but it isn't relevant anymore. So forecast we have from our companies, it isn't relevant anymore. And the complex world needs a new way of thinking. And it also affects our labor market. And also, it's more important to focus on our human capital. To thrive in this world that is constantly changing, business leaders need to be ready to disrupt, but also to be disrupted. So Amplition is also about bottom up. It's also being in contact and letting thrive your employees within your organization. When we look at this changing world, it's important that we know that it requires a lot of flexibility, but it also requires a lot of ability to adapt to all the changes, all the circumstances that are changing in a rapidly phase. And therefore, I would like to make you more familiar with Amplition. Amplition is from the Latin word amplio, and it's meaning to increase, to enlarge, to thrive, to amplify your human capital within your organization. As you look at this VUCA world we're living in, it's also important that we know what is our role as an employer. When we know that things are very ambiguous, very changing, it's uncertain for people, it's uncertain for company. So what's your role as an employer? We believe that as an employer, you're not responsible for the whole happiness of your employees. But it's important that we can affect their well-being. And it's important that we create a working condition that is suitable for all, with the goal to let people thrive. Because we believe when people have more well-being, when people function better, it's all of the base to create a larger organization success. So Amplition, it's the way to create a people-orientated organization where people would like to come to work, but also continue to work and also continue in a vital state of work. So it's a way of thinking and working that will enlarge your human capital. And I think that's the most important capital we all have within an organization. I would like to introduce, before we go to the 9 building blocks of Amplition, in 3 kinds of way of working. This is our Dutch model, but I will show you some English English words of that. We have some curation, prevention, amplition. And I can show you the best example about the theme of happiness at work. So curation, if you want to work with happiness at work to enlarge, when you do it from the curation work way, the only thing we do is to recover what makes unhappy. So we're going to talk to our people and we know what makes them unhappy and we subduct. When you work from the perspective of prevention, we want to prevent what makes unhappy. So we want to avoid all risks that are in the work environment of our employees. And from Amplition, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of working that enlarge and let's drive the energy within your organization. So Amplition, it's a way of thinking, of working with the goal to drive your organization to create more well-being within your human capital. So 3 ways of working, 3 ways of thinking, and all the 3 ways are always within an organization. But we not long ago to focus on people with stress and burnout and absence, but we're also going to give our attention with people that function 100%, but how can we thrive? So it's Amplition, it's found its base in the positive psychology. It's a different word. Just to inspire you with a little bit of examples. Do you work on organizational changes or do we work to organization development? If we only look at changes, people are afraid of change. That means that things aren't very good. That means we're going to change from this point to this point. We believe in this VUCA world we're living in that we need a constant phase of development. So we need to be able to adapt. We need flexibility that's not from A to B, but it's a conscious phase of development. Also, the problem mindset, the fixed mindset, the growth mindset is really important in this world we're living and this world we're walking in. But also, do we focus only on an absence policy or do we focus on a health policy? Do we focus to decrease all the absence numbers or do we focus all people that are health and let them thrive? Do we have a company that is only focused on a performance review or do we have a company that's focused on a conscious dialogue? And do we focus on workload, increasing that or increase work energy? It's also a lot of development. So it's not only changes, but it's the way to look at your company. Do you only look at the smileys that aren't looking very happy, or do you look at the smileys that let your organization thrive, where the energy goes? So do you have KPIs only to reduce absence or to solve dissatisfaction or prevent burnout? Is that your focus? Is that your focus in your numbers? Is that your focus in your leadership? Or do you also create a focus to increase? When you focus at the point of prevention, solve, and reduce, the biggest goal you can get is the 0. But we need a way of working, we need a human capital, we need leadership that can increase, that can grow, that can enlarge your way of working and thinking. So we not only focus on the bad numbers, but we're gonna increase on how can we increase enthusiasm, how can we connect with our people, let them thrive. So this way of thinking, it's also shifting your focus. And that's why amplition is the way of thinking and working that ensures growth and also the steps you want to make, the positive steps you want to make in this VUCA world. We have 9 building blocks creating when we work with amplition. And it's important, the blue one, it's the foundation. The 6 words you found in the blue one, it's the foundation. And every organization needs a steady foundation. It's in line with Simon Sinek, the why, the how, the what. What's the goal? What's the aim? What's our purpose? What's our way of thinking and working? So the foundation you will find in blue. And then we have 9 building blocks. That's the green blocks. And they are all related with each other. So when we work with companies and we created a human-centered organization to thrive for human capital, we will work with the 9 building blocks. They are all related and they will all affect each other. And we hope we will affect each other in a positive way. When you look at the 9 building blocks, there isn't one way to start. There isn't one way to start. It's not illogical. We look at our organization and we're gonna look at which block is more important at this moment. And then we start at that block and then we create a whole way, a whole thriving energy to create all these blocks. I can tell you a little bit about these blocks. I have a few times, so maybe within your question, I will give you more examples. But when we look at recruitment, with our point of view, it's very important, and also the talent management, that we make a shift from competence thinking, competence working, more to talent thinking and talent working. And we also have to create an employee experience. We have to create a candidate experience that is so great that I want to work at this company and I want to stay at this company. So recruitment, on and offboarding, talent management, it's really important. You only have one first impression with onboarding, and you only have one way to leave your employees as an ambassador with offboarding. Talent management, I think it's the most important that we help our employees to discover what their talents are and how can we develop their talents. When we look at employability, it's not only let people stay capable for their job, but also to create a state of well-being within their job. When we look at work environment, it's both facility and it's HR. How can create an environment where people can get responsibility, where people can have the space to job crafting and to be the best version within themselves. And we look at appreciate, it's not only the working conditions that are important, but also appreciation in compliments, in positive thinking, in positive communication, in giving responsibility, in giving trust. So appreciation, it's larger than only the conditions. And it's also a way of leadership. When we talk about amplition, we talk about transformational leadership. So not only tell people how to work, where to work, what to do, but be that coach, stimulating, creating motivation to let people thrive at their best version. Process and policy, we don't believe that process and policy are the systems that are leading in an organization. Maybe you will herkennen. Maybe you can recognize from HR all the systems, all the process, all the policy, but we're creating a culture that is more flexible and the system isn't leading. And the last thing, it's about the continuous dialogue. So not only the performance review, not only once a year, the annual report, the annual conversation about a function, but about the operation you do, but we're creating more the dialogue on a daily basis. So I have to be quick because I only have 50 minutes. So I give you a lot of energy, I hope, and a lot of examples about the new way of thinking and about a different way of looking at your human capital and more from the positive way. Maybe I'm a little bit curious if you get some energy, some new inspiration that maybe your company can look and can shift their focus on a different and more amplition, more positive, more people-orientated way to create more organization success. It's within with 50 minutes.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. I think a lot of times we're all too busy as managers just managing that we don't stop to think about turning things positive rather than negative. So very insightful. Artier, I'll call on you now, please, to reflect on Ellen's presentation, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Arthur, and I'm your happy host today. And I'm also asked to give some reflection on the topic of amplition. The first thing that comes to mind is that it is a difficult word.
It is.
And it is not being used in the HR context, and that is a pity. In its core, it's a very positive way of looking at business reality and the people we are working with. The day-to-day pressure, especially when the results are not meeting the targets, make us neglect the most important asset that we have, and that is people. To a certain level, pressure is healthy and keeps us going. But when the pressure is too high, it becomes damaging. Amplition also has a lot in common with appreciative inquiry, which is an area that is more known, at least to me, because it is one of the courses we teach. Okay. And the core of appreciative inquiry is that we do not focus on things that go wrong, but we try to create an image of the future, an alluring image, a tempting image. And if we create that image together, that will create a lot of positive energy. And also, if that image is tempting enough, it also will influence behavior in the way the organization wants. And if you think of change strategies, this is one of the least violent change strategies that I can imagine. So amplition is also in this way a very good strategy to follow.
And also the appreciative inquiry is the way we work within the amplition way of thinking and working. So
yes, of course, yeah. The real problem to get into this positive initiatives is how can we escape our daily routine to create these new perspectives, and that is where my question is for you, Ellen. How do we break out of our daily routine, and how can we initiate amplition in the workplace? What would be a good step, a good first step? Does it all start with recruitment? If it starts there, then it will take ages before we all become happy people. And another question is, to me, it sounds like basically normal behavior. So something went wrong. So what went wrong? What went wrong? Why do we behave not very respectful to our colleagues? And how can we get rid of that?
Yes.
Well, these are my reflections on your very inspiring presentation, Ella. Thank you for that.
Okay. Your first question, I think the first step is awareness. So my biggest job is to inspire people, to inspire companies, to inspire leaders to become more aware of the importance of the human capital. And I think so. It's awareness. Also, what you are saying, it isn't rocket science. It isn't very different than maybe normal behavior, but we're living in a world that is changing so quickly. We're living in a world where we have to achieve a lot of things. We creating work environments wherein the system is leading process, policy. So numbers, also results. When results are leading, the people aren't. So we get so more attached to results, to goals, to money, to numbers we have to achieve, that we create a lot of policy, a lot of process to achieve our results, but we forgetting the attention, we forgetting the importance of well-being. And when we live in this rapidly changing world, our well-being is it doesn't get attention that it needed. So the first thing is create awareness, is talk with your people. It's about appreciate inquiry. It's about interviewing. It's about bottom-up way to work. And when we look at the building blocks, we can start at recruitment, but just what you're saying, when we only get the new way of thinking from external people, we have to create an organization within. So that's also for us, we are training HR, but also professionals within the organization to create something that the energy and drive within, and to create a culture company. So
And
it isn't.
can I interrupt?
Yeah, of course.
The newly recruited people will change their great behavior to the behavior which already is common in the organization. So there's a different topic, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they adapt to their environment. They adapt to the way of thinking and working that people, the colleagues are. Did I also give an answer to your second question? The second question was
yes, this awareness, basically the awareness issue. How to get there?
Perfect.
How to get there? Where do we start?
Yeah, it's about awareness. It's about talking with direction. It's talking with all the people within the company. So we're gonna make contact with everyone. We're gonna listen. We're gonna hear your needs, and then we create interventions that will create more well-being. And within every organization, it's different. Large organizations, small organizations, everywhere we have a different starting point. And I think it's important that Amplition, it's not a new team. It's the way of working within Vitality or within employee experience. It's a way to achieve the goals you have in your HR teams.
Thank you, Ellen. Juanita.
Thank you so much. We're going to open the floor now to questions. I see there's been a post made here, Ellen, by Mohammed Yassin. He says, Amplition reminds me of the concept of collective intelligence, which aims to identify assumptions related to hidden social architectures, such as competition between collaborators, leadership, and how it is really perceived by employees. Digital leaderships and perceived gaps between your behavior with the company and the projection of your image in actual media. Oh, do you have a comment for him on that?
I think I'm in line with what he's saying. It's all about leadership, and it's all about culture and the way we think and work together. When competition is your base, we have to amplition. It's about to enlarge, to amplify each other instead of the competition we are creating.
Mohammed asks, is Amplition aiming to create a standardized employee well-being or a personalized one?
Sorry, what's the question? Is Amplition creating an...
Create a standardized employee well-being situation, or is it a personalized one? So is it one-on-one, or is it general for the actual organization?
Yeah, it is both. So we work on individual team and also organization niveaus. So it's it's also one-on-ones, also Amplition coaching. So to increase the well-being of one person, it's the well-being of a team, but also organization well-being. So we need to create a movement within individuals, within leaders, within organizations, within culture. So it's both.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from the floor? Mohammed says, thank you. I have a question for you. With Amplition, does it take into consideration having to deal with different cultures? And is there a difference in trying to implement this within organizations in the developed world and organizations in the developing world?
Yes. Every organization is different, but everywhere there work people, everywhere we can give our attention to the well-being of all people. So yes and no, I think at your answer. And when you talk about culture, of course, it's very important. Different countries, different cultures, different way of thinking and working. So we have to adapt to the human capital and their cultural behaving and cultural background.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question from Peter here for you. Is there any leadership development program focused on bringing Amplition home to established and inspiring leaders?
We created our own leadership development program. But when we talk about Amplition leadership, it's about transformational leadership. And I think that's a term and a way of thinking and working that's more familiar. And I think that a lot of companies will give you a way of the transformational leadership that leaders and company are needing.
Thank you. Then I have a question from Annette. She says, you told us that human resources and Amplition. What about strategy and Amplition? How do you see them interplay?
Yeah, it's really important to get Amplition, the way of thinking, the way of working within your mission, within your vision, within your values, within your strategy. So at this moment, we within the Netherlands, we are working with a very large company, 70,000 employees, and we're creating a vision document wherein Amplition is the base of all. And now we're creating a strategy, a more year strategy. And so it's really important to get your strategy in line with this way of thinking, of working. So example is, in your strategy, are there KPIs of reducing absence? Is that a really important KPI within leadership, within strategy? Or do we create more at Amplition, more at smiley face of of the well. So it's also in our strategies, in our goals, in our way of thinking of working. So it's in practical and also in strategy way of thinking.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I have a question here also. Peter is asking, do you know of any literature or that treats amplition in greater detail? I know that we also were looking at the topic of amplition and we didn't find too much written about it. Can you help us on where to search for more info on it?
Yeah, we written our own book, but it's only in Dutch. So my colleague has written their own book about amplition, also because it's about the positive psychology. And positive psychology, it's only at the year 2000. It's a really new part within our psychology. So at this moment, there's a lot of reading and research on individual thriving amplition. And we are making the steps to create it in organizations and create within your organization culture. But there is an article and that's in English. I can share it with you. Maybe you can share it with all the participants. Maybe that
would be fantastic. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Very
That's
valuable to those who've logged on.
Yeah.
Thank
I will give you
so
the
much.
link so you can give it to all people. It's an article about, I think, 20 pages. It will tell you the most about it. And just what you're saying, there isn't a lot of reading and about it.
Thank you so much for that. I have a question from Ellen. She says, how do we test if the amplition interventions are yielding the desired results at personal and organizational levels?
I have to look for the right words. Just think it's about. Sorry, can you?
I'll repeat the question.
Yeah.
How do we test if the amplition interventions are yielding the desired results at personal and organizational levels?
Yeah. I think first of all, we're testing if amplition is the way of thinking of working that fits your company. So that's to be in conversation with people within working and also with your direction. And when you're looking about interventions that are more about amplition, it's different. You can test about energy or the working energy that people are having. And it's also important for us, results and testing aren't the most important. For us, it's more important, do we believe in this way of thinking of working? And do we believe in the human-centered, people-centered, people-orientated way of thinking of working? So with the companies we are working, we don't set the results and the testing number one. First of all, we're gonna discover if we believe in this way of thinking of working. It's the same as, maybe example, when you sleep well. When you sleep well, you know that you are the next day more productive. But you're the bad customer or the colleague that is yanking of asking something, you're more able, you're more flexible, have more ability to adapt. So you're more productive the day after you sleep well. But can we measure it? Can we test it? Can we say I've 10% more production or result? It's really hard to do. But we all know that when we sleep well, when we have good social context, all the things that our well-being will increase, we also function better. So we discuss at that kind of level, and then how to test. It's also about appreciate inquiry. Yeah? What's the current situation and what's the desired situation? And that's our starting point. So with the organization, we create the current situation and we dream to the desired situation. And then we can set a couple of goals to achieve. And that's a couple of goals that we can test or it's successful. It's a long answer, but I hope you will get something out of it.
I think you answered two questions in one, yeah, because Mohammed first is apologizing for the questions that you're asking, but he finds your topic extremely interesting, because he asked the same question: when do you deploy Amplition program, project, initiative, and at what stage can you say that you've reached your target?
Yeah.
So he had the same kind of question that he was asking. I have a comment here also from Peter Ogunkunle. He says, future research project change management approach to institutionalize amplition in leadership development. It's just a comment from his side.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's all the questions that we can take for today, because I think we've reached our time. I need to thank you very much, Ellen, for a very insightful and very interesting presentation. I think it's got us all thinking. Because we are too much focused on the negative side rather than the positive side, and it doesn't seem to be such a difficult shift if we can get our mind shifted. So thank you very much for that.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. Next week's Good Morning BSN will be focused on responsible leadership, on inclusive leadership, unlocking the full potential of diverse team, by Dr. Solomon Kapandel and Dr. Peter Ogunkunle. So I think that's going to be another very interesting session next week. I'd like to thank you all for logging on and taking the time to join us at Good Morning BSN. And Ellen, once again, thank you very much for the time that you've given us. And
yes, thank you.
Yes, and Artier, thank you for your reflection. Also very insightful. Well appreciated. I wish you all a very good day. Thanks very much.